Hello again, everyone. I am back with yet another serious and eye opening message. And the title, topic, or subject matter of this message is modern technological advances or modern technology, so called. But before I get into this message, first things first, if you're not spiritual, this message is not for you. If you think everything is a joke and a game, then this message is not for you. If you want to believe all the lies of Hollywood and these pagan Christian denominational church systems out here, telling you or feeding you, then this video and this message is not for you. If you don't believe that there's a God, there's a devil, there's a heaven, and that there's a hell, and there's going to be a tribulation period and a rapture, by the way, and that we're living in the last days slash end times, then don't waste your time watching this video. Click away from it right now. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste God's time. Don't waste anybody's time for that matter. And I also like to say that I'm a female as well, so don't refer to me using masculine pronouns and references and stuff. But moving forward, I would like to talk to y'all in this message about modern technology, so called. First of all, I would like to start out as I've heard some people say in recent years, is that our history is a lie. Okay, I just want to first of all make that very clear, because one of the biggest lies that the Illuminati has told us, and a lot of preachers even parroted this lie in the pulpits. Some of them know the truth, but they're keeping it from us because, most of them are demons anyhow, but the rest of them are just ignorant. And I'm talking about my brothers and sisters in Christ, and I just hope they find out the truth about this someday. God reveals it to them someday, tell them what's really going on, so they don't know any better, because they're humans and stuff. They've only been here for so long. But anyhow, some of them are deliberately lying to you because they're demon incarnates, with the rest, or they're just ignorant to the truth. They don't know any better. Because I once believed the lies and stuff, but I've woke up, and a lot of people have woken up. That's where things have gotten worse as of late in this world. But anyways, moving forward, as I was saying, our history is a lie, because first of all, one of the biggest lies they've told us is that technology was the same from the Garden of Eden until 1900, but that's a lie. Okay, I want to first of all let y'all know, of course, this isn't really my subject, but it ties into the topic or the subject matter of this audio message. I just want to first of all say that in throughout history there's actually been a total of 24 raptures. Okay, and there's 16 in the Old Testament and 7 in the New, and the 8th one is yet to come. Okay, and concerning numerology, biblical numerology, concerning those raptures and stuff. Okay, if you add 1 plus 16, okay, you got 16, all right? So 1 plus 6 equals 7. 7 is the number of perfection, okay? Of course, God dealt with the Jews back in the Old Testament. That was for the first 4,000 and some odd years. Let me just say a little over 4,000 years of a little over 4,000 years of human history, okay? And for this dispensation, when God, turned away from the Jews and started dealing with the Gentiles, it's been, a little over 2,000 years now. Okay, and it's been 7 raptures thus far. And I'm about to tell y'all, and somebody might wonder, say, and might ask, how many, what intervals did they take place? Well, I'm so glad you asked that question. I truly believe that society reboots every 250 years, more or less. I believe it's slightly different for each dispensation. Okay, and there's the 7 church ages and stuff, and with each age, each cycle of civilization, God always sent a major prophet. Okay, for this one, it's been William Branham and stuff, and I believe we got another one up ahead, but he hasn't come on the scene yet. He's supposed to come on the scene and just before the rapture takes place. Okay, and he could appear at any time, because the truth of the matter is that's why the devil's gotten so bad as of late, and stuff has been rapidly changing in this world, and this paradigm shift that's taking place ever since this so-called health crisis has come. Of course, there's people dying and so forth, so I don't believe it's a hoax. But anyways, they told a lot of lies about it as well. But anyways, the major paradigm shifts that have taken place since this thing started, I must admit that it's not for the better, and it's very unsettling. Even as, somebody's a part of the body of Christ. It's unsettling, but then again, the Bible tells us that, when you see these signs, lift up your heads and rejoice, for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay? And secondly, the eighth rapture is yet to come. And concerning numerology, regarding that, okay, eight is the number of new beginnings because, after this rapture takes place, a series of events are going to occur on this earth. It's going to pave the way for the new heaven and the new earth, okay? And somebody said, how do those judgments take place, okay? This is like three subjects in total, but I had to break down each one. But it ties into what I'm talking about, okay? Every 250 years or so, okay? I'm going to just say, first of all, it started out as, except for the case in the Garden of Eden, will probably have to be an exception, but think because things were perfect then, and then after that, they had to, live how people lived, 150 years ago after they was expelled out of the garden, cast out of the Garden of Eden for sinning, Adam and Eve, okay? But anyways, for as I was saying, in the beginning, in each, 250, some of those, sometimes it was a little over 200 years, and sometimes about 300, but it depends. We have to find out on Judgment Day how long they were. But with each cycle, you have to understand something. Technology, they always started out with horses and buggies, just very primitive stuff, no running water, electricity, or whatever. They lived off the land, like they did in the mid 1800s and stuff. But it always ended, with them having the technology like we have now. But the only difference between now and the last worldwide judgment, which took place back in the early 1800s, by the way, so it was a little 200 years ago. Okay, so the only difference is there were giants. I believe there were giants the last time around, because y'all see a lot of buildings around. Not just, I have them in my hometown as well, in the city where I live at. But anyways, they have these buildings around the world, and Hans Wormhat, I have to leave a link in the description, but Hans Wormhat made a video about, how those buildings, they've been there for longer than what they've told us. I mean, they've lied to us about them being built during the Victorian period, but that wasn't true. Those buildings were actually built back in the 1700s and on back. When the last worldwide judgment had hit, okay, the ground had gotten all soft and stuff. It had become waterlogged, and so those big old heavy buildings had sunk down into the ground. That's why you see those subterranean levels, because at one time they were, it was the first floor. So now it's pretty much in the basement. They're either partially or fully submerged, but usually they're fully submerged. And since those buildings were too big and heavy, to lift out of the ground, they just, left it like that. But the houses, on the other hand, if they sunk into the ground, they just, the smaller residential homes and other buildings and stuff, they just dug those out of the ground. But the big old brick or limestone buildings, they just left them the way they were. But anyways, I believe those buildings, like they say, they're certain, like a Victoria, let's say a Queen Anne Victoria. There's one across town from where I live at, a number of blocks from where I live at. They say that house was built in 1902 or something. It's a combination of a Queen Anne / colonial revival type house. They say it's a Victorian or something, but I actually believe that house was built in 1802, because as I've said earlier in this message, our history is a lie, okay? They made up a lot of stuff, okay? Because if you notice, if you look back on the early 1800s, I noticed that, not much happened around that time. I truly believe that, God destroyed the earth with a flood and stuff. Noah's flood, like, Hans Wormhat said, that was not the only flood that took place in history. There have been multiple floods. Matter of fact, there have been previously, 24 deluges, worldwide deluges, and but the only thing unprecedented about the judgment to come is that it's going to be, number one, unlike anything since men were upon the earth, as I read that scripture about the California earthquake in the previous message that I had spoke on, the California, the coming great California earthquake, or the earthquake judgment that lays just ahead. But anyway, I mean, the world is getting right for the judgments of God, okay? But in times past, when God sent judgment, it's pretty much like Noah. I believe a rapture. I don't know how God handled this stuff in the Old Testament, because he dealt with the Jews then, and things worked a little bit differently, because when things like that happened, God, saw his people through the judgment. But with the Gentiles, he's going to deliver them out of the judgment. But all I know is there's been, 7 raptures thus far since, the New Testament came in. In the Old Testament, there were 16, because, it lasted for twice as long as the Old Testament. I mean, the New Testament, I'm sorry. The Old Testament dispensation, when God dealt with the Jews, lasted for twice as long as the New Testament, which is a little over 2,000 years. But the Old Testament was a little over 4,000. So, anyways, when you count the number 25, and they'll make the total number of raptures that taking place, as you can plainly as but to explain, I'm gonna just say to explain, biblical numerology. As y'all very well know, I don't know about overseas, but with American currency, okay, you got a quarter. Okay, a quarter is 25 cents, and you have 4 quarters, and that equals $1. And the Bible refers to the earth as having 4 quarters or 4 corners, which is north, south, east, and west. And the number 4 equals the earth. Okay, so 25 is 1/4 of 100, and so the worldwide number one worldwide judgments. Of course, the last one lays just ahead. So that's the only thing unprecedented about this time. I believe in those previous, dispensations near the end, they had like what's going on in the world now. Okay, of course they had fake news media. They got technology. Because I even heard somewhere a number of years ago one of Pino and Gondi's videos. Of course, I don't take all those videos to heart because some of the stuff they say in there is not true, and some of those testimonies are false. But I did hear in one of those videos a number of years ago that the fallen ones, down in the marine kingdom, Satan, the demons, and the fallen angels, they did admit that iPhones and iPads and stuff, smartphones, tablets, desktop computers, and laptop, PCs and stuff were being used back in the 1500s. So all that stuff about they're being medieval style stuff, all that stuff about the way they dressed in 17, all that stuff is just a lie. Okay, because Satan doesn't have the creativity that God has. All the trends that y'all have been seeing, over, I would say, since civilization, had rebooted or reset back over 200 years ago, that stuff has just been repeated over and over and over again. Because during the last cycle, I'm pretty sure they had 80s fashion and 90s style, like the songs you've been listening to. Those songs are most likely thousands of years old, okay? I mean, they just recycled that stuff. They had to remake it. And a lot of the stuff they said, happened way back there. Like, they talk about the Middle Ages and stuff, and how there was no, people just lived off the land, there was no running water, electricity, and the bubonic plague. I believe all that stuff was a lie. All that stuff was made up, because during the last worldwide flood, y'all have to keep in mind that a lot of records, and I told a man this, that, I've been witnessing to for the past 8 years. I only see him once a month, though, because he's my doctor, but I told him that, during the last worldwide judgment, that, we got in the world today, we got a lot of paper records and stuff like that. But during the last worldwide judgment, all that stuff was destroyed, or either by water or fire or whatever, or God just opened up the earth and just swallowed it up in there. Okay, there's also this material that you find over in the Asian continent. I think over in, I don't know if it's Bangladesh or India. It's called silica. I believe that's leftover material from those computers and stuff that got destroyed in the last worldwide judgment. And they use that material to, make certain electronic components and stuff in those computers, and whatever, electronics or appliances that we use. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Because, laptop computers, all this technology and stuff we use now, the internet, Wi-Fi, that stuff's been around for thousands of years. And there was a young lady that, gave the testimony about what she's seen in spirit regarding demon incarnates. That's in case you're wondering what that means. That's individuals that walk on this earth that, look human, and even they approach, the end of this age, they looking less and less human, as like their true form is coming out. But anyways, a lot of them still look like real humans though, but they don't have a soul. They look just as real as I do. But the truth of the matter is they don't have a soul and a spirit. They just got, demonic entities inside their body controlling and manipulating them and stuff. And since they've been around for billions of years and pretty much off and on throughout all of human history, given the fact that, unless God sent them to hell and left them there for a certain amount of time and then let them back out on the earth for some reason only known to him. But anyways, since they've been around for so much longer than real humans have, they know how to pretend to be human and stuff. I mean, they have a lot of people food, and sometimes they even have me food. So that's why it's very important for y'all to exercise discernment. If y'all got a gift of discernment, to exercise that. I'm not really talking to the world out there, because they ain't gonna never change. They're the ones that are chosen to follow God. It's gonna eventually, come in and stuff. But anyways, that's why it's important, to turn on put on your spiritual thinking cap and turn on your spiritual listening ears and all seeing. I wouldn't say all seeing, but your spiritual vision and stuff. Because now it's not the time to be blind or look the other way when it comes to evil and wickedness that's in our world. Okay, and so now they look so real. Those humans, those demon incarnates, pretending they're actually demons. Okay, in human disguise. You got to look at what's inside of their body. Okay, because with real humans, the soul is the real you, and the spirit is just the nature of the soul, and both of those things control the flesh. Okay, because when you die, your spirit goes back to God who gave it. The book of Ecclesiastes said that. And your soul either goes to heaven or hell, depending on whether you saved or lost. Or demon incarnates and stuff, when they die, either God sends them to hell, or that's why they're so afraid of death and stuff. That's why we've been going so crazy about this whole COVID thing, because they don't want to go to, hell fire and stuff any sooner than they have to. Okay, either God sends them to hell, or they go off and get in another body and inhabit that body. It could be, in the same country they live in, or it could be a foreign country. They could travel. You kind of like astral travel or something and get in another body, especially, when a baby is born, they just go off to possess somebody else. Or when a soulless baby is born, when one or both of the parents are soulless, or it was made in a test tube or whatever, and it's a clone. But anyways, enough of that. But anyway, that young lady that told about the demon incarnates, her name is Rachel Mushala, by the way. And she's from Namibia. This beautiful, young, dark, ebony skinned lady. She had talked about how, there was a fellow that was a black fellow that was Babylon, from ancient Babylon. That's another way I know that, ancient Babylonians were black. The Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, all of them were black. The Middle Eastern brown people that you see today with, curly hair or whatever, they're racially mixed. And also came about due to genetic mutation and also race mixing, okay? They're not the original peoples of that land. The original peoples of those Middle Eastern lands, including Israel, were black, okay? And in Northern Africa, they were all black, dark-skinned, very dark-skinned people of color. They were like African black, okay? But anyways, those Arabs are not the original people of those lands, okay? But anyways, moving forward, she said this guy was from ancient Babylon, and, the fashions he was wearing, like skinny jeans and that sloppy tail fade that, it was a sloppy version of what, young black men wore 30 years ago. Okay, and skinny jeans that kind of hung off of him, and high top sneakers or whatever kind of sneakers, and regular t-shirt. Okay, he wore that thousands of years ago, okay, in ancient Babylon, so-called ancient Babylon, okay. He also knew about electricity, but I don't think he just knew about electricity. There was electricity, because I did see, read somewhere a number of years ago in a magazine or whatever, article, I don't remember, whether it was online or in a magazine, that, ancient Babylon, they had a so-called ancient Babylon. I call it ancient because it was so long ago. They had running water and electricity, and they also had, sewer systems to carry away wastewater from toilets and houses and stuff like that. So this the stuff that we have today, it's always been around, but it's just been off and on. They also use toilet paper has always existed throughout history, off and on. Okay, so we've been lied to about pretty much a lot of things, because this is a sin-cursed world. I call it, like I heard one old man say, this sunk in place. Okay, and so since it's run by Satan, we're gonna be lied to about a lot of things. And since the last worldwide judgment, a lot of stuff has been destroyed, a lot of papers, records. So we really don't know what happened way back there. And they even had airline travel. I saw it on documentary, a number of years ago. I think it was on the Discovery Channel. They also proved that, airline travel has been around for thousands of years. I also want to throw this in right quick before I shut this video down. That's what the Bible says, don't let your flight be in the winter. Okay, what it meant by flight, it meant commercial flights. Okay, and those things, okay, or prone to turbulence and even crashing, and in bad weather conditions and stuff. So I just thought I'd throw that in, because I'm revealing things y'all are not gonna hear in these churches, either because they don't know, or they intentionally keeping the truth away from you. Because, and also things that that God raised me up to speak about, because things that, basically that you never heard before in your life. So if there's no further ado, I'm going to shut this down. I hope y'all learned something new today, and I hope y'all was blessed by this message. So if there's nothing further, I'm out. Peace. Shalom.